One of the hardest things for me to resist is actually collecting toys. I can't afford to become one of those people with the whole rack full of toys here in the background, collecting everything under the sun. I mean, at that point, toys cease to be like this neat nostalgia collector thing and become like a decor choice, like a home decor choice. I can't afford to do that. My wife won't let me do that. I don't want to do that. I've actually been trying to cut down on stuff, not have as many things weighing me down so I can go out and enjoy more experiences and stuff like that. But every once in a while, things come along that touch just exactly that right nerve. So, like I mentioned in a previous video, the Transformers core class figures, perfect tiny little Transformers, Optimus Prime and Megatron and stuff at right size and right price point that it doesn't become a home decor choice. And I can actually afford them without, having to break the bank. I make exceptions for things like my Kong collection, where I don't have anything in it that cost me less than $50. But something else came along that the price is going down on, so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna take the plunge. I'm gonna buy them, and I did it tonight. Went to the Toys R Us, which we still have here in Canada, and picked up the Ghostbusters. In fact, I managed to pick up all 4 of the original Ghostbusters, and I want to do a little bit of a belated review and unboxing and talking about my own personal history with the Ghostbusters. So as I said, here in Canada, we still have Toys R Us, and Toys R Us is still well stocked with these animated style Ghostbuster figures, which every time I would go in there, because I still love to look at toys. I still watch, some toy channels on YouTube and still enjoy going in and looking at the stuff. I just don't want to actually buy it. But I look at these guys every single time. The price was dropping on them, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pick them up because they're still relatively inexpensive. They were $14 Canadian a piece for these things. So, why not? Why not relive a little bit of my youth and go in for getting all 4 of the Ghostbusters? And these were one of my big obsessions as a kid. I had the usual obsessions of a child in the 80s. I had Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man and Thundercats and those sorts of things. But I was also the kid who had some of the more weird, obscure interests compared to other ones. I was like one of the first kids in my school to have a Nintendo, the only one to have a subscription to Nintendo Power Magazine. I loved Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. I had like all of those toys. That was a big thing for me, which still kind of holds up as a cyberpunk concept, but I mean, it's by J. Michael Straczynski, so of course it does. And Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was one of my huge things as a kid. So much so that I was even given a nickname to that effect. I won't tell you what it was or who it was or anything. But I was well known as that guy or the kid who liked Ghostbusters a lot. Though it's one that I never really reclaimed as an adult. Probably because, it was sort of... depends how obsessed you want to talk about it. I love the original movie. I loved the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters. I even didn't mind the other Ghostbusters cartoon. But I loved the original movie, the real Ghostbusters. I actually have a copy of the old Mayfair Ghostbusters role-playing game. Not that I ever really played it, but as a source book, I actually know what a Class 3 free-roaming repeater is, what that actually means, because I have the source book and have the source material for it. Ghostbusters 2, I never even actually saw that one in theaters. I didn't see that one until relatively recently when I picked up the DVD set that had both of them in it. I actually knew Ghostbusters 2 from the Now Comics adaptation, where they had the real Ghostbusters starring in Ghostbusters 2. So it was a comic book form starring the real Ghostbusters, that version of the characters. Ghostbusters 2, not a great movie, just because it's trying to retread the original one, so it's not that great. Because the original one's so good. I didn't bother seeing the 2016 version of it because so much bad press and so much toxic fandom around it Not that the Ghostbusters fans were the toxic ones. It was the people who made it who were the toxic ones. The people who were more concerned about diversity points and the fact that it was all female Ghostbusters rather than whether or not it was actually any good. And it's just like, you know what? I don't want any part of that. I'm staying away from that. I'm undecided on the new movie, if Ghostbusters Afterlife is actually like a good comedy on its own, or if it's going to be a loving tribute to the original Ghostbusters, or if it's just a cynical decades later sequel boot cash grab thing. But if I do go see it, I actually only live like an hour and a half north of where it was filmed. That town that the Ecto-1 goes careening through as they're chasing a ghost. That's the main street of Fort Macleod, Alberta, which is like an hour and a half south of where I live. So I might actually go to the theater there to go see it, just for the added sort of cool factor of that. That's my history of Ghostbusters, and I never really reclaimed that interest in Ghostbusters as such. I'm not super obsessed with it. I don't collect all sorts of Ghostbusters stuff. I watch the occasional episode of the cartoon on YouTube when the mood strikes me, but I don't have the complete box set, because I can't imagine sitting down to watch all of that right now at this time in my life. I don't want to spend the time to do that. Like a lot of cartoons, I just don't want to spend the time to see if it was actually as good as I remember it, because usually it ain't. Although the cartoon was, my introduction to Lovecraft and Citizen Kane and Headless Horseman and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Screwed up my idea of what Samhain is, though, by a whole lot. But again, these ones, though, I saw these, and they're such neat, fun little figures, and again, a good price point and simple figures. I don't need the big, expensive collector's ones. Not that I care that they exist. Somebody who wants them can get them. That's great. But yeah, these are simple, small figures that look cool, nice animated style. I thought I'll pick these up. The price is dropping, as I said, because nobody else is buying them. And they were still stocked. I gathered that Peter with the Hellhound here and Winston with Slimer is actually fairly rare to find now in the US, but we still have racks and racks of them up here in Canada. So I picked them all up. So let's actually crack these guys open now, because I buy toys, not boxes. So let's crack them open and see what we get. Here we go, out of the box, and with their various assorted ghosties. And I'm going to start with the ghosties, because I love these guys. They're great. I think it's fantastic that Winston comes with Slimer, the gold standard of ghosties to come with. Of course, it's a little horrifying that his head splits apart, but still, it's cool that he came with an identifiable ghost character. There, Peter comes with, I guess this will be Dana. Here's a little Dana figure. Gozer's a terror dog there. Whoa! There goes Peter. And then Egon and Ray coming with these sort of generic... This might be a Class 3 right here, because it looks human, although you pop them open and it's got that face in there. So it's possible that both this guy and the one that Ray comes with are Class 5 ghosts. And something that always bugs me that people don't do the research on this. Ghost classifications are a thing, and they exist. So people are like, oh, is Slimer who was Slimer when he was alive? Slimer might never have actually been human. He might never have been alive. If he's a Class 5, which I believe officially he is, then he's just like a remnant of ectoplasmic energy, possibly some kind of extra-dimensional entity or something like that, as opposed to the ghost of a person, which would be like a Class 3 or a Class 4 if you can identify which person it is. Geek, nerd, okay, whatever. The figures themselves, I mean, if you've seen any other review of these, you probably have, if you're watching this one even. They are the same body, but different heads, slightly different paint deco where necessary. Winston here, he's got his proper name on there. They all do. Which is fine. I don't mind that they're all the same body. That's whatever, because it keeps the price point low, and that's what I love about these ones, is that they're simple, old school, classic Kenner style, 5 points of articulation, affordable action figures with a neat sort of animated look. And that's why I wanted to pick them up, as opposed to the big expensive collector ones. which I'm not really that interested in. And Egon here, of course, my favorite character because he's the brains of the outfit, and in fact, that's what the back of his box says. I love he's got these little bios in the back of the box. Here's to tell you who they are and what the Fright feature does. That's a nice little callback to some quasi-unique packaging. But yeah, he's got, again, unique, just very simple sculpting, simple points of articulation, looks enough like the late Harold Ramis to be identifiable as Egon, and the proton pack is looking good, not overly decoed, but still I like it. Enough detail on there that it works. Simple because these guys are just going to sit on my office desk and just be a lot of fun to have around. Don't know if I'll bother picking up the Ecto 1. If I do, I'm actually tempted to pick up the retro Real Ghostbusters Ecto 1 because it's got just some nice lines on it. The way they just sculpted it looks really good. It's still available in my area. I think I saw it at Walmart the other day. So, but I don't know. I don't need it because just having the characters is fine. Just to have them sitting on my desk and just being mementos of my past. And this movie and this cartoon that I really liked, and I mean, God willing, I'll like the new movie. We'll see how the reviews come in from not the professional critics, but like actual people. That's kind of fun having them hanging out right there. I think I mentioned in a previous video putting my Kongs here so that when I do virtual school programs and things with my dinosaur and rock and fossil setup here, that they can see Kong. But I don't know. I think the Ghostbusters are a nice touch here. We'll see if I keep them there. That's where they're going to stay for right now. Looking over my shoulder, making sure that those ghosties don't get me. Hanging out with my Postasuchus there with my Arizona fossil collection. Once again, what is appealing to me as an adult collector now is actually not so much the huge, like basically pre-built models. Right, the hyper detailed, hyper articulated, hyper expensive collector figures. What's appealing to me more are just these simple, relatively small, relatively simple, is toyetic the right word for these? Just these simple figures that are a good price point. It's not going to break the bank or anything like that. They're just fun little collectibles little souvenirs of my past to have around. And to keep it that way, toys that are actually collectible price, collectible articulation, but still looking good, looking stylish. Something that a kid could actually play with. I could see if I had kids buying these for my kids to play with. So yeah, keep it up, toy industry. Keep making stuff like this because this is the stuff that I buy. Affordable, small, inexpensive, just fun collector figures, just fun things to play with or have on my desk or whatever that remind me of my own childhood here in my 40s now. So yeah, and as for Ghostbusters, we'll see what the new movie brings. If I do go, I might actually make a video about it and just show off the town of Fort McLeod where large chunks of it were filmed. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what the reviews do. Anyways, so that's the Ghostbusters side of my past. We've talked about Transformers a bit. We've talked about a couple of videos on my King Kong collection. I have some more coming as well. And now Ghostbusters. We'll see what else they can suck me in with and what is apparently now my toy review channel. So until next time,